Let's head to the United States now. Joining me live is Professor of Political Science at the University of California, DeSipio. Lewis, let's begin with Joe Biden pardoning his son. What did you think of it?
Well, I understand his desire as a father to protect his son, but I fear for the precedent that he's creating for giving a blanket pardon to a family member. I think that President Trump will use that precedent and go much, much broader than a single man.
It's going to impact his legacy too, isn't it?
Well, Biden's legacy is challenged right now because he lost an election, and any president that loses an election, whether he's running or his protege is running, is challenged. My suspicion is that historians will view the Biden administration relatively positively in the future, regardless of this pardon, because of the legislative accomplishments and the foreign policy accomplishments. It will take some time to get there, I admit.
And look, one of the big problems, particularly in the short term, is that many people, not only in the United States, but around the world, feel like Joe Biden, at least on the surface, has been asleep at the wheel for quite some time. And that's exactly what happened the other day in a meeting overseas. He fell asleep.
Yeah. Well, he is a man in his 80s, and he faces those challenges, particularly when traveling across many time zones. My understanding of the administration is that he and his senior aides are very actively engaged in policy making and will be until Inauguration Day. I think we see some of that thinking going on in terms of how to use the pardon power to protect allies and people that might be challenged in the Trump administration.
It was an interesting story just prior to our discussion beginning on this idea that Joe Biden may go out and make a more broader brushstroke of pardons, and some of these people don't want them.
Very much so. If I were the newly elected senator from California, my senator, in fact, I wouldn't want the taint that I might have done something illegal. Dr. Fauci, I think, on the other hand, might appreciate the protection. So, if the Biden administration can come up with a way of narrowly tailoring pardons to people who want them, I think that's worth consideration. But they should not be offered to people like Senator Schiff or perhaps former Representative Cheney, who might not want that on their records.
Changing subjects, is Ron DeSantis back in the picture, do you think, as a possible Trump pick?
Very much. I think Mr. Hegseth, the original designee for Secretary of Defense, is in great trouble right now. He does not have the administrative experience that's necessary to run the Pentagon, in addition to a number of personal problems. I think that the Trump transition is just waiting for Hegseth to sort of die on the vine, and then they'll move Governor DeSantis into that position.
Because he does have a military background himself.
Oh, absolutely. And he has the administrative experience that's necessary to run the Pentagon. Many of the earlier Trump appointees have not really had the skills that they need, but I think Senator Rubio has been designated as the Secretary of State, and were he to get the nomination, Governor DeSantis, both clearly have the skills that are necessary for that position. And you're absolutely right, also a veteran, which is a plus for that position.
Many around the world eagerly waiting what happens in January. A Ukraine team is already starting talks with Donald Trump?
We're seeing quite a bit of that. In fact, because of his past experience, I guess, as president, it's very easy to reestablish those relations. And we're seeing a great deal of effort to prepare for a Trump administration, from Europe, from Mexico, really from throughout the world.
Yeah, what is your take on Ukraine and Russia, Lewis? Do you think that we can see an end to that war in 2025 through your lens?
Well, I fear that we will see an end to the war, but I don't think it will be an end that will satisfy what has been the goal of the war so far, which is for Ukraine to regain all the territory that it's lost. I think the vision that President Trump has for ending the war is freezing positions in place and subjecting Ukraine to further challenges down the road. I don't think that's a satisfactory end from my perspective, but that may be the position of the United States government after January.
Finally, the Democrats have got to go to the room of mirrors and take a look at themselves, don't they? Because if they're going to be competitive into the future, they need to rebuild, not so much from the ground up, but they really need to solidify where they are, what they want to be, because at the moment they are in the wilderness.
Very much so. It's hard when you lose, all branches of the federal government, and they've long been in the minority in state legislatures. This is an opportunity for the Democrats to redefine themselves, to bring up the next generation of leaders, and the Democrats do have good leaders who are in their 40s and 50s. It will take a few years, and I think the midterm elections, which generally advantage the party that's out of office, will be an opportunity for them to define the issues that will make them competitive again in 2028. I think they're up to it.
They're very interesting days. If we don't talk, have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you, Lewis.
You too. Thank you very much.